Ima Withers. Well, I don't have to say nothing else. Grew up in Memphis, Tennessee in 1967 while waiting to attend dental hygiene school. Is that true? Okay. Wow. She took a summer job as a girl Friday at American Recording Studio, working for Chips Moman and Don Cruz. Suddenly, dental hygiene school was no longer in her future plans. Among the artists with whom she was associated with were B.J. Thomas, Mac Davis, me, Neil Diamond, Ronnie Millsap, Dionne Warwick, Elvis Presley, and many others. I don't know how much better it can get. Relocating to Nashville in 1974, Ima met songwriter-producer Nora Wilson, who had been hired by Warner Brothers Records to open a Nashville office. Withers became his assistant. Chief among her administrative duties were serving as a liaison between writers, musicians, and artists such as John Anderson, Joe Stampley, Buck Owens, Margot Smith, Janie Fricke, Con Hunley, Rex Allen Jr., Donna Fargo, Gary Morris, among others. Well, my God, that's everybody in the industry just about. Go, Ima. Ima married Dick Kent Withers in 1976, and when their son was born, she decided to stay home for 2 years. In the meantime, Noro had been given a new exciting position by Jerry Bradley at RCA Records and asked Ima if she was ready to go back to work. It only took her a couple of seconds to say yes. Withers was an A&R coordinator responsible for recording budgets, verifying label copy with correct song titles, writers, producers, and publishing credits, liaison between artists, recording schedules, studio, and musicians for artists such as Eddie Arnold, Mickey Gilley, Reba McEntire, Keith Whitley, and Charlie Pride. In 1986, Noro headed Merit Music, a new publishing company, and Ima served as office manager. When Noro decided it was time for him to slow down and produce only a couple of artists, Ima decided to work for both Merit and Noro until Merit closed. Roger Sovine hired her at BMI in 1990 to oversee accounts payable and receivable. She rose to General Services Manager before joining the executive department, working under Francis Preston and Faye Smith. Prior to her retirement in 2012, Ima reported to Del Bryant as his Nashville assistant. Ima, we have someone who wanted to say just a few words to you on your special night.
Hi, everybody. This is John Conley, and I'm here to congratulate Ima Withers on being inducted into the Source Awards Hall of Fame. So deserving. I'm so happy for her. We go back a long way, several decades, and she was very instrumental in the early part of my career. As a matter of fact, thanks to her, when she was working with Nora Wilson, before I even had a recording contract, she took our demo of Backside of 30 and pitched it to Joe Stampley, who put it on 2 successive albums, 2 in a row. That's pretty unusual, but that was thanks to Ima. And another little side note, when we had Fanfare back in the day, that's a long time ago, when all the artists had booths for displaying their wares and so forth at Fanfare, her dad built a wooden backdrop for me, and for our first booth at Fanfare years and years ago. I appreciate that. Still got it. In case they ever bring Fanfare back, I'll use it again. Congratulations again, Ima, and to all the ladies who are being inducted into the Source Hall of Fame. Love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Ima Withers.
I am deeply humbled to be selected for this induction and join the list of women who have dedicated their lives to enhancing the music industry. I would like to also thank my friends and family, especially my son Richard, for being here with me tonight. Thanks to Brenda Lee and Jeannie Seeley for supporting Source. I was told a good speech should be like a woman's skirt, long enough to cover the subject and short enough to create interest. I can't believe my first job out of high school was at American Recording Studio. My first day at the studio, there were a couple of guys, one in a long overcoat with a beer in his hand, and I thought, Lord, I must be at the wrong place. Anyway, it was, my career began with Dan Penn and Spooner Oldham in the studio recording Cry Like a Baby by the Box Tops. I had no idea they had been there all night, but boy, I learned a lot later. Looking back now, it's really hard to believe the people I have interacted with, whether it was doing recording budgets, label copy, publishing info, travel arrangements, or whatever else needed to be done, because it was a lot different back then. I will always cherish my Memphis days and how fortunate I was to be working with folks like Neil Diamond, Dionne Warwick, B.J. Thomas, and Elvis Presley, and many others. Due to the people I met, the relationships I built, and the joy I encountered, I discovered life on a scale I never knew existed had I not been on this career path. The good Lord must have been guiding me because, as luck would have it, after moving to Nashville, I was fortunate enough to meet Norrell Wilson, who was getting ready to open the first Warner Brothers Nashville office. My resume landed me a position with him at Warner Brothers, and the next decade would be spent working with him. After Warner Brothers and RCA, I followed Norrell to a startup publishing company, and it was there I learned why Jerry Bradley always said they'll come in their jet airplanes and leave in a pickup truck. After 5 years, the owner decided he needed to sell the company, and it was perfect timing for Roger Sovan to call and ask me how I felt about coming to work for BMI. Took me about 5 minutes to let him know they were getting ready to load all those songs in the back of a pickup truck and go back to Virginia. So I think BMI would be a perfect fit for me. Now, 45 years later, my heart is full of love, gratitude, and happiness, and I have so many to thank for being there with me along the way. Again, thank you for the induction, and thanks to my friends and family for being here tonight. In closing, please tip your glass to Roger Sovan and the late, great Norrell Wilson.